Welcome to the Let's Get Heavy podcast, where we explore the realms of heavy music and have conversations with some of the most talented bands within the genre. In this episode, I got a chat with the living legend himself, known as Max Cavalera, to discuss the re-recording of the Sepultura classic Schizophrenia and the upcoming Cavalera Conspiracy European tour. So let's get heavy. So, Max, I want to welcome you to Get Heavy UK. Like I said before, this is an absolute honour to be speaking with yourself. If my teenage self back in the day would say, "What one day I'll be get to sit down and chat with Max," I wouldn't believe it. So this is an absolute dream come true for myself.
Thank you, man.
No,
It's good to be here. I'm glad.
oh, excellent! I'm pleased to hear it. So we're here because, like you've just said before, you're due to come to the Europe and UK soon, and you've also 2 weeks ago released Escape the Void, or re-released Escape the Void. So let's touch on that straight away. It's been over 35 years since the release of Sepultura's Schizophrenia album. What are your reflections on that album's impact and legacy?
So, as a quite important record, it was very much is the record that got assigned, with Roadrunner, and almost like in a way that record was a form, some kind of business card to the outside world. Until that point, we only played Brazil, and we were just part of the Brazilian underground. And not many people outside Brazil really knew much about us. A couple fanzines and stuff like that. I was trading letters with guys like Chuck from Death and Morbid Angel guys and Euronymous, and guys in the metal scene. But that record was, the record that I brought with me when I went to New York, and I visited a bunch of different labels. I went to Combat, Noise, Roadrunner, and that was the record I gave it to them for them to listen to see if they like the band or if there's a chance of us getting signed. And Roadrunner took that chance on us. And of course, after that was just going straight to work to create Beneath the Remains, which was another very, very high pressure record to make. But yeah, I have a really soft spot for Schizophrenia because I think it's an album that we mature as musicians. I think we grabbed the best of what we learned from the early first wave black metal era of Morbid Visions, mixed with what we were listening to at that time, the early thrash. And I think we were, without even knowing, I think we created the death thrash style, which is the death metal, thrash metal infused. I guess you can call it black death thrash, which is probably more really to the point. But I think it was going that way anyway, man. When you listen to Morbid Visions, if you listen to War is a song that in a way is a bit trashy. It's getting there. And if you listen to Empire of the Damned, the closest Morbid Visions, very heavy riff influences of thrash. The thrash was coming from, and we were really excited about it. And it was just a matter of combining the both together and creating. But I think there's a lot of bangers in Schizophrenia, like Septischizo, Escape to the Void. The opener, From the Past Comes the Storm, the triplet, it's like, it's just a punch in the face. It's a great way to start a record. And many ambitious things. Inquisition Symphony, very ambitious song. Instrumental with 1,000 riffs.
I actually discovered the album quite late because when it originally released back in '87, I was only 1 year old, so I didn't discover the album until I was about 19, 20.
Okay.
So, but
your parents didn't play Schizophrenia when you were in the crib.
They didn't know. My dad was more of the. he branched into more of like the Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Queen, that kind of vibe of music. Billy Idol, that was kind of his thing as well. Do you know what I mean? So no, I discovered Schizophrenia quite late on, but I still listen to it today though. 10 years on for myself, and it's still just absolutely classic album. So with the re-recording of Schizophrenia, has it generated a lot? Well, sorry, my apologies. So the re-recordings of Schizophrenia has generated a lot of buzz. What motivated you to revisit this classic album?
So yeah, I think the whole idea started with let's re-record the stuff that we were not very happy with, and most of it is the Brazilian production records, which is, of course, Best of Devastation, Morbid Division, and Schizophrenia. Those are all, you know, underground, not much money involved, so really shitty studios with bad gear and an experience, but a lot of passion, you know. And I always, me and Igor were always really intrigued, like, wow, it would have been cool to hear this amazing songs with a great sound, you know. Like, I think us and the fans would like to hear that, you know, because when we play them live, they sound amazing, you know. And so that gave birth the idea of re-recording. You know, first we went on into Better Devastation, Morbid Division, and it came out so good that it was a no-brainer. Like, let's get the next one as well. Let's get Schizophrenia, because that's also, even though it's a slightly better production, it's not the way we envision them to sound. This is the way we envision them to sound. So now you have the what we call it, the Third World Trilogy, which is the name of the tour. And you know, it's the Third World records of that era, the three of them, and it's fantastic. They sound great, and we're gonna play songs from all of them on this next tour. So you can expect a really good mix of Necromancer, Antichrist, Troops of Doom, War, and Septischizo, Inquisition Symphony.
I can't wait for this live. You know that. It's
Yeah, so it's gonna be a brutal set list, you know, real brutal.
just from talking about it, sounds going to be like brutal. And I don't know if you ever graced the Riverside in Newcastle before in your past, but it's quite an intimate venue, so it's going to be sweaty and it's going to be brutal. I can hear that.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait.
It's going to be brilliant. So, how did the recording process for the re-recording differ from the original? And did you encounter any unexpected challenges or rediscoveries?
Yeah, I mean, like, it was fantastic to jump back in time. Almost like you're going time travel. You know, you go back in time and remember the when we wrote that stuff, and when that stuff was created. And you know, I remember most of the riffs by recollection. Were really cool. It's almost like riding a bicycle. You once you've done it, you don't forget it. You know, you can go for 10 years without riding, and you jump in and you ride in it. You know, it's like automatic. And the only thing difference was we kind of wanted to maintain the raw energy and the brutality of the originals. And that was the hardest thing, because you're not a teenage anymore,
Yeah.
and you're a bit different person. You're a little older. But I think, we had to put ourselves in that kind of frame of mind, like, yeah, I love this, and I want the people to feel it how we felt when we played these songs. That's that energy, that just brutality that those songs have. So it was really live recording. All the drums were all of us playing together, which I think was the best way to make these recordings. Any other way would have been good. Igor could have played backtrack from the albums itself, but I think it would have been a bit robotic, you know, and it would have been a little bit less with less. In fact, Schizophrenia is actually faster speed wise than Morbid Visions. We're actually playing a little faster, so it's almost like the combination of how we sounded live back then. If you watch videos of, there's a great one on YouTube, Sepultura live in Mexico.
I think I've seen that.
It's really good. It's really, really cool. The crowd's going fucking ape shit, you know. So when we play To the Wall, it's really similar to how we kept the tempo on the re-recordings. It's slightly faster than the original, so you got more energy. It's more of an energetic take, so it's even more it's slightly angrier than the original version. And I love the original. We made a demo for From the Past Comes the Storm. It used to be called The Past Reborns the Storms, which is wrong English. And the demo is, I like it better than the album. I always like the demo more than the album. The demo was just like I remember sounded like Igor was playing with baseball bats. You know, he was hitting the drums with baseball bats. And so I think the version on this re-recording sounds more like the demo than the album itself. So, you know, I went back to the one thing that was a bit tricky was the vocals tried to sound like me again. When I was, you know, I don't know, 17, 16 when I made that record. Being 54, I have to I don't sound like that anymore, you know. But yeah, but I think it's pretty close. It has the same aggression, man. I think that's the thing that people like about these recordings, that it didn't lose the aggression. We kept the aggression intact, and we didn't try to get fancy by changing the songs. That's the other. I think that's all the mistakes some people do when they re-record their shit. Change too much. You don't need to change. That shit was great. It was killer when we wrote it, it was great back then. It just sounded like dog shit. It just needed to sound better. So it's like, don't change the songs, play them as hard as you can, and do it from your heart. And that's the ingredients for a good session.
With that upbeating tempo that you've just said as well, and you're saying with a slight change in your vocals compared to what you were when you were 17, I feel, especially just hearing Escape the Void, it kind of adds, or it's got that rawness sound to it, which adds another element to it, which I feel it just makes it sound, in my opinion, like I say, like the demo sounds way better, in my opinion. So it adds a new layer.
Yeah, it's you know, the cool thing about this is that the foundation is already laid out. You don't have to like reinvent anything, or you just gotta play them with the same state of mind that you played them when you were a kid. And that was quite easy, actually, because I think me and Igor, we really learned how to vibe with each other. You know, we are, that's happened when you have brothers in band. You can ask the Gojira guys, they will tell you the same. There's a synchronicity that happened between brothers that doesn't happen with other musicians. Sometimes we can read each other's minds. You know, it's kind of scary like that.
Wow.
But it's like that. And what is cool about, I think, this new recording is actually the new elements that we bring in. So you have Igor Amadeus, my son, playing bass, and his bass playing is fantastic, and the bass tone is amazing. You can really hear the bass on Schizophrenia. And you have Travis playing guitar, playing leads, and Travis is a huge fan of thrash metal of that era. And you know, it was kind of like the perfect guitar player to play this stuff, because he's a fan. You know, he's like a total disciple of this style of music. So then you have, the two old geezers like me and Igor in the back, and you have the new young guns in the front, coming. The combination of wisdom and experience with youth and energy is a good one. It really works. It really, really works, and it's incredible. And live, you will see it when you're at the show. You get to see it firsthand. But there's definitely an amazing chemistry, because that's what bands are about anyway, right? Chemistry and alchemy and all that shit. That all comes into play when you're doing when you're in a band, and I think we hit a really good one with this Cavalera lineup. Everybody just goes for it, and we don't hold anything back. We play every show like it's our last show on earth, and that's how it is, man. It is great, and I think we record them with the same state of mind. Like, if this is your last record you're ever gonna put out on this earth, this gotta be the best one ever. So let's go for it. So you give it all. You put everything on the line on the record, on the recordings, and it shows. And when people hear, they get absolute floored with the energy they're getting from these songs, and they sound. And to me as a fan, because I made them as a fan. I didn't make them as.
Of course.
I made them as a fan. I wanted to hear them also as a fan, because they sound like shit in the original, and I wanted people to be able to hear the riffs, the amazing riffs, and they're buried between bad recordings and bad equipment. But and of course, there's always there's some people that are gonna like the originals more, and that's fine. I'm cool with that. Like, it's totally okay. But if you want to find out how would we envision them to sound, the new recordings is what we think they should sound in the first place when we made them. Our dream was they would sound like what they sound now. That was the dream.
Oh, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So with the album, it was a turning point for, like you just said before, on Sepultura's sound. Looking back, how do you feel that it influenced the band's musical direction?
Yeah, I think influenced a lot. One thing I always like about Sepultura, at least the years with me, we always push forward and never really try to repeat the same record. And every record we brought something slightly different and slightly evolving. And you can see that when you go from Schizophrenia to Beneath the Remains, Beneath the Remains to Arise. There's a huge jump between Arise and Chaos. Chaos is like a game changer, and then of course Roots, which is very controversial record, but I totally fucking love this album because I think it's really raw and really minimalistic kind of a record, very heavy. And I think that was cool that we did that. And I think Schizophrenia still influence a lot of bands of today, from many younger bands coming up. They all like that stuff and enjoy it, and it's still influencing people. And I as a fan, I get influenced by everything around me all the time. And it's funny now, sometimes I listen to a new band now that Schizophrenia influenced them, and I'm getting influenced by them to what they are doing because they were influenced by Schizophrenia. You know what I'm saying? It's
Wow. Yeah, I hear you.
It's a real trip. Like, they got influenced by Schizophrenia, and I listen to them. I get influenced by them to what I'm doing next. It's cool. It's a cool thing.
Would you say any of those influences from those bands has helped any with the re-recordings?
The re-recording was mostly we got really influenced by the shows that we did. I think that was the mainly influence, was the amount of excitement that we witnessed when we did the Beneath the Remains Arise tours, which was we did. I know that we did them in the UK, and we did Return to Roots. Those were huge, pivotal influences on how we went to the studio thinking this is gonna be cool. Like, let's record this album because I can't wait to play this album next whenever we go on tour. And that kind of like that influence, and yeah, and in a way, like even using a producer like Arthur Risk, and Arthur has worked with very very cool underground bands of right now. They are really doing good stuff, like Antichrist Sig Machine or Fugitive, and Power Trip, Mammoth Grinder. Arthur is kind of our connector between the past and the present going to the future, because he's involved with all these new bands, and he knows what sounds good, and he knows what people want to hear. And yeah, so I think it's cool that we are, in a way, 30 years later, we are still inspiring other bands and being inspired ourselves by new bands, and that's beautiful.
You'll never stop getting inspiration, which is amazing. Never.
Yeah, and that's something that I always treasure, man. Because you can go back as back as Morbid Visions, where our influences were. We wore them pretty much on our sleeves. The Hellhammer, Destruction, Battery. Those are all the influence of the era. And throughout the years, you can see the influence in changing with other records, and whatever happened with Arise and Beneath the Remains, we got more into other kinds of stuff, like thrashier stuff, some Obituary, some Morbid Angel, some Sacrifice, some Voivod. And then later Chaos ADs, like we started drinking from hardcore bands, Sick of It All, Agnostic Front, Biohazard.
Nice. Nice.
Even like industrial shit, Ministry, Godflesh, that's when I made Nail Bomb, was heavily influenced all that, And so influence is always is huge. Influence is a great teacher. It teaches a lot, and you get great stuff because of the name. Inspiration is what inspires you, and there's a difference between ripping off and being inspired, and that's like, that's when you should know, like many times I had a riff where I'm really ripping off the other guy's riff, and I tell myself I can't do that. I want to, I wanted to rip off Stone Iommi, Symptom of the Universe. I tried 1,000 times, but every time they got too close to the truth, I can't do it.
I think Tony's the only one who can achieve that.
Know your limitations, people out
there. I'm glad you kind of touched on Nail Bomb as well, because I remember back in 2008, I think it was roughly around the time when Cavalera Conspiracy was kind of getting off the ground, and you played Download Festival, and I remember hearing Cockroaches for the first time. I never thought I would hear that live in my lifetime, and I was just absolutely blown away back in 2008.
That was a freak accident, man. That record really, it was fun to make because it was not as serious as by then. Sepultura was a pretty heavy machine. It was a machine rolling, and we were getting bigger and bigger, and Chaos AD was massive. It's a massive record, and Nail Bomb was like the opposite of that. It was like I gave zero fucks about if anybody gonna like Nail Bomb or not. I don't care.
More of your experimental type phase.
Yeah, and the guy that did the record with me, Alex Newport, I nicknamed him Mr. Hate because he hated everything. he hated everything and everybody. I think I was his only friend, and he tolerated me. I don't know how and why,
I
but
think
he
everyone's got a
tolerated me.
friend like that. I think everyone.
So, so Nailbomb was a creation that was completely punk rock. Even on the album we said feels good to be a punk loser. Um, that's the spirit of the record, and we didn't have any expectation to be successful at all. Like, actually the opposite. We wanted to bomb. It was a record made. Hopefully this shit doesn't get successful. I don't want this album to get successful. Which is, how many times in your career do you do an album when you're praying the album not to get big? You're making a record like, I hope this album nobody likes this shit.
Didn't work out that way, did it, though, Max?
Yeah, a lot of people like it, man, and we're trying to make something that people don't like, and we end up making something that people like. So I don't know. It's a crazy metal world.
Takes all sorts. Takes all sorts. So, seeing re-recordings of Bestial Devastation and Morbid Visions, and now going on to Schizophrenia, are there any future plans to re-record any in the future other classic Sepultura albums?
Not really. I mean, like, the reason we did those was because we were unhappy with the sound,
Hmm.
and you know, you, I think when you listen to Beneath the Remains, they sound pretty good. I don't think there's a reason to touch those. I would like to tour more for those. A Chaos tour would be great. I think doing a Chaos AD tour, it'd be a huge tour. That's one album that needs to be played live from beginning to the end. Without interruptions. Play the whole freaking thing. And then what, you never know. Maybe like one day, you can just do a tour where you just play the best songs of the Max Cavalera era, Sepultura, which is those are fantastic records. As far as we're recording, I think we did all that we wanted to. Those are great, and those are the three albums that needed. It's almost like we had this. You have all these cars in your garage, but then there's three cars that are really fucked up, and they're in bad shape, and they need to be fixed. So we fixed those three cars. The other three cars, they're not in such bad shape, so we don't need to touch those. If that makes any sense.
Yes, I totally get it. Totally get it. Isn't Chaos AD coming up to close to an anniversary? Maybe it's for that tour idea that you just mentioned to play in its entirety.
Yeah, I think 25 next year is 30 years of Chaos.
Yeah, maybe it's an idea for you down the line to maybe tour it. Yeah.
Definitely.
I think we're pretty sick.
That's definitely one record that I hear from so many people that record is literally changed their life, in a way. And I can see that one. I see the influence everywhere, from Slipknot to Deftones to newer stuff like Kublai Khan and Knocked Loose. You hear the Chaos AD influence on there, especially the breakdowns. Because when we did Chaos, we were like, we're making we're gonna do some heavy breakdowns. And
my friend's band covers my friend's band Mortal Chains. They cover Refuse. Do an absolutely cracking job of it as well. So yeah, man, it's absolutely that album is absolutely sick.
Yeah, there's a UK band that I think is definitely influenced by Chaos, which is Malevolence. I definitely hear some Chaos AD influence when I listen to them. So it's cool. That's a pivotal record that it'd be really fun to play live. And of course, there's a lot of really great songs in it. Refuse Resist and Amen and We Who Are Not As Others, and of course Territory.
I was just about to say, yeah, Territory.
Yeah, I just did Territory with Mr. Bungo live in Ohio.
Nice.
Yeah, that was
Nice.
cool. That was cool. Mike Patton was like, "You want to come and sing Territory with us?" It's like, fuck yeah, you know. You don't you don't have to ask me twice for that. You know,
That'll be quite interesting to hear with his vocals.
it was great. It was killer. It was like we were doing it together, and of course, he's got the great band. He's got Dave Lombardo on drums
Nice.
and Scotty and Trey from.
Oh, that's right. I think I saw a picture of the three of you guys on your Instagram.
Yeah. So that was fun, and you know, I love that brotherhood of metal, man. We can't lose that, man. We cannot lose that. Like bands need to be friends with other bands. We need jam sessions. We need bands to appreciate each other, appreciate the talents and appreciate us while we're alive. You know, don't wait till people die to say, "Oh, how great they were." You know, tell them they're great now while they're here, so they can enjoy a little bit of that. Don't wait till they die. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of people going, "Oh yeah, Lemmy is so great." You know, like you should tell him when he was alive that he was great. You know, and that's more a bit me. A little bit pissed off about people like the Grammys people. Like, how in the fuck that Lemmy never got a Grammy? What the fuck is wrong with these people?
But I think that's just opening a new can of worms right there, which we could probably be on for. We could be here for a while to talk about that type of stuff, to be honest with you. So, yeah. But big love to you, Max. Couldn't agree more with you. That is straight, like 100% truth.
Let's have more of that in metal. Let's have more jam sessions, more musicians sharing the stage with each other, doing songs with other people, and because I think the winner of in that situation is the fans. The fans will get more music, they'll get to see more stuff of their idols doing stuff with other people, and
creating moments, memories.
It's more fun for metal in general. You know?
Yeah, like I just said, creating moments, creating memories for everyone, not just for the fans, for the bands as well. So 100% can't agree with you more.
Exactly.
So on the subject of touring, you are heading to the UK very soon. What are you most excited about when it comes to playing for British audiences?
Well, many things. You know, I actually gonna come earlier, so I get to spend some time in the UK. We have family in Leicester, so we're gonna be in Leicester for a couple of days.
That's where the tour. That's where the UK tour kicks off, isn't it? In Leicester, yeah.
So we end up getting a show there, just so we are already there, so we can just start it there. And,
cool.
Yeah, I love a lot of things, you know, like I like the whole vibe of the UK, you know, like I don't know, it's hard to say like one thing. There's a couple things that I really like, you know, of course, fish and chips goes without saying.
The classic.
Shepherd's pie and Iron Brew. I like fucking love Iron Brew, man. I think that's Scottish, right?
Yes, that's mainly Scottish, yes. That's brilliant. I don't know if I can't remember the last time you've played Newcastle. Have you ever tried a Greg's sausage roll?
No.
Well, get it checked out. Yeah, the Get Heavy UK community will probably be disappointed if I didn't mention the Greg's sausage roll or the Greg's pasty. So you'll find one on every street corner in Newcastle because it's so popular.
Really?
Yeah, it's so popular.
Well, thanks for the tip.
No worries. If you remember, let me know on stage what it's like.
Yeah, I'll give you a shout out.
Brilliant. That'd be brilliant. So the set list for the tour, is sure to going to be a highlight for fans. Can you give any hints about what kind of mix of Cavalera Conspiracy, Soulfly, Sepultura, and maybe even some Neil Bomb classics that fans can expect?
Yeah, we really haven't finalized the set list yet. We are actually working on that right now. So of course we are gonna play the best of these three albums. That's the idea. In some kind of order. I'm not sure now, because now with the addition of Schizophrenia, it changes the landscape of the tour. Because we did a run last year. Morbid Devastation was strictly Bestial Devastation and Morbid Visions. But I think now we have to mix it up more, because we got Schizophrenia songs also in the mix. And we also would like to play other stuff, like, other classics, which I'm gonna leave those as surprises. I think that's better, so let people get
Fair enough.
excited. Even maybe some even cover songs they can expect. We get a take. Maybe Newcastle. Maybe we can do a Venom track.
Ooh, now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that. Love to hear that.
All the possibilities are open right now, and let's just leave the surprises for the show.
What Venom song would you like to cover, out of curiosity?
Well,
black metal's obviously the absolute classic, isn't it?
Right. That's to go, but they have so many other great song. I really love 1,000 Days in Sodom. Welcome to Hell is fucking great. I
think it's a Black Witch.
What was the other one? Countess Battery. That's a fucking great one. Warlust is great.
I think we could be a while listing all the Venom songs, couldn't we? To be fair, they do have an impressive back catalogue.
Or we can play At War with Satan, which is like 30 minutes.
Could you imagine? That'd be pretty much the entire set.
I think people would be like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
I guess that'd be pretty much the entire set. So, with such a rich musical history, how do you approach creating a set list that balances fan favorites with deeper cuts?
Yeah, I think whatever you play, I think that in a show like this, which I think is a bit like it's a cult kind of show, because it comes from albums that have been around for a long time. People had the experience through the years. They are familiar with all these songs for many years, so they're cult classics, so it makes it a bit easier to make the set list, because even when you play a deep cut, they still enjoy it. They might not really even 100% know it, but they know it's part of that era, and it's part of that time. And one thing that we did that was really cool was on Morbid Visions, we created a new song called Sexta-feira 13, which is from memory of an old song from before Bestial Devastation. I remember the chorus by ear, and I told Igor about it. We should make a song with this chorus, because this is what we played before we even made the EP. And so I'm so glad I remember that riff, and we did make a song out of it, and we play it. It's cool to hear the reaction on that track. We do have one on Schizophrenia. We made a new song called Nightmares of what is it called? Nightmares of Delusion. And it's really it's a new song, but we kind of like put ourselves in our shoes, in our mind, state of mind, as when we were doing Schizophrenia, what would a new song would sound like, and we made a new song that is totally influenced by the Schizophrenia record. So it fits the album perfectly. It's actually the last track on the album. I hope people like it. It's cool. It's in a way it's kind of paying tribute to the album. It's like we love this record and we're gonna try to make a song inspired by this record. And so we took the challenge to make a brand new song that's inspired by this fucking record, and let's see what happens to it. I don't know. People might like it, people might not like it. I don't know. I can't read their minds, but I thought it came out really cool. I think especially Igor's drumming is fantastic. It's like tip top, fast and aggressive and really really cool.
When can we expect that release?
The record comes in June. I think June
Right.
20th, June 20th to 21st, middle of June. So we're gonna be on tour when it hits. I think we're gonna be in the middle of the UK tour when that when the album drops.
Roughly, yeah.
Or just finishing the UK.
Roughly around that time, because you're in Newcastle on the 17th, which is the Monday, and releases normally drop on a Friday. So yeah, you'll be close to the end of the UK tour.
So yeah, so that's cool. So even like the album will be finally coming out and people will get to hear and we get to play out. I'm hoping we can play Nightmares live because it's a really cool track and it's brand new and it's something that we never ever played live before. Even though there's some tracks on Schizophrenia that we quite never really play live ever. I think stuff like Scream Behind the Shadows, I don't think you can find that on video. I don't think so. And I don't think Rest in Pain, we never really played those live. So that's kind of cool too, to people get to hear those finally also.
Cannot wait for this. You know that. Can't wait. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Beyond the UK tour, do you have any other exciting projects or collaborations on the horizon?
Yeah, well, I'm working on new Soulfly right now for next year.
Wow.
And we just gonna try to record it hopefully January, have it out by summer of next year. And I think Soulfly is in a great place right now with kind of like, by judging by the festival reaction we got. And Soulfly is a strange band anyway, because it's like almost like I was talking just to a friend of mine the other day, and he's telling me like Soulfly is such a strange band. Like you almost like you don't really need a new album to tour because you have so much material. You can go out right now and play, and you have so many classic songs that
The back catalogue is immense.
yeah, some bands need a new album. Soulfly kind of like don't. But in the same token, I'm like, I want to make a banger of an album that I can mix with the classics and be excited to play new shit again, because that's always fun. It's always cool when a band makes an album that they're entirely super proud of it, and they can't wait to play it live. So I'm gonna try to do that with Soulfly, create a banger, amazing record that I'm very proud, that I cannot wait to play live. Then I can mix that with the old classics, and you have that with Jump the Fuck Up and
Yes.
Eye for an Eye,
Primitive.
Rise of the Prophecy, all that. So That way, I think next year is gonna be a good year for Soulfly. I'm feeling it. I'm feel very positive about it.
Nice. Yes. Can't wait for that as well. Absolutely amazing. Um, so we're getting pretty close to the end for myself. So just a couple of off like the topic type questions. So looking back on your entire career, what are you most proud of achieving?
Well, I think the hardest thing is the continuation of staying active and relevant. Like that's hard to do, especially in music where it changes so fast and people always want new things. Um, and that's something that I can't really just take credit on my own, because it's not just me. There's great people that work with me, like my wife Gloria. She does an amazing job as a manager, and the crew and the band itself. You know, and I think I don't know the combination of uh, what I did with my music and family. I brought family involved in the music, and the tribal thing that was created. All those things, I'm super proud of it. I think that's like, I never imagined when I was a teenager that I was going to create such a legacy. And once you do that, it's kind of like mind blowing, actually, because I come from a town in Brazil that most people don't even know about it. And if you would have told a 14-year-old Max Cavalera, you're gonna go to 90 countries and inspire millions of fans, and this, yeah, I would have, punch you in the face and tell you you're fucking, you're crazy. It's not gonna happen. But it did happen, and I think that's also cool for inspiration for fans. There's probably people right now watching this podcast, young guys sitting at home with a guitar, hopefully to trying to get inspired. Don't give up on your dream, man. It can happen. It's just gotta work hard, sacrifice a lot, and yeah, man, enjoy the ride.
For the love of metal, isn't it? Basically, top and bottom, it's for the love of metal.
That's it. Because like we didn't get into for money, because there was no money when we first started playing. um we didn't get in because of girls, because we were dirty and not really good looking. And and so what we had was the metal, the feeling that you get from metal. And that's what's cool, man. Because man, I'm telling you, like, when you're on the stage and you had that crowd roaring, jumping, and singing your shit. uh there's no drug that can give you that feeling. There's no drink that can give you that feeling. There's You can't buy that feeling. Even if you're a billionaire, you cannot buy that feeling. That's got to be earn it, with a lot of blood and sweat.
Tears on top of that as well.
Yeah, so it's like, I am more than thankful for metal for saving my life. As a teenager, could have gone sideways with drugs and crime and all that shit. And metal is like what saved me, and forever grateful for that. And I'm in awe of the power of music all the time.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Is there anything you would have done differently in your musical journey?
Not really. I mean, I think like all the those are all life lessons. Everything that happens, all um, lessons that you learn in life. And you can always go, I should have done this, I could have done that. But in the moment, you can't really deal with that. I mean, yeah, I think like you learn from the mistakes, and That's the best thing. Sometimes I think a good thing is not when you're successful that it counts. Is actually when you're not successful is when it counts the most. And that's like when you really need to know yourself to understand that. And I think like my career has been a bunch of ups and downs, but it's a continuous thing. It never stopped, you know. And I'm glad it never did. I'm glad, you know, like I didn't stop for 5-10 years, because when grunge came in, everybody loved grunge, so I'm gonna stop playing metal and wait until that passes. Uh, I'm glad I never stopped. I continue even when it was less popular. We continue. I'm proud of that. You know, proud of always waving the flag.
Excellent, excellent. And finally, what message do you have for your fans in the UK and around the world?
Just get ready. It's about to get heavy.
Yes, yes, I love it. It's just made my night. Oh, what an absolute legend.
It is gonna get heavy, man, and we're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna love it. Uh, Absolutely ecstatic about the shows. I'm gonna start practicing this week, and I think it's gonna be a great experience to share these songs, these albums with the fans, and you know, let's keep metal rolling. Let's keep it growing and growing, bringing more people into the fold, you know. And yeah, thanks, man. Thank you for the interview, brother.
No problem whatsoever. Thank you for the music. Thank you for your legacy. I honestly just it's an absolute dream come true to sit and chat with you. But before we do end, I like to end our interviews like this. The rules of the pit are the rules for life. When someone falls, we pick them up. Thank you
That's
so
amazing.
Thank you so much for being here, Max. I really do appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, brother. I'll see you in Newcastle.
See you in Newcastle. Horns to you, my brother, and see you soon. Take care of yourself.